Hey guys, all right. If you don't know my homie, my sister from another mister, it is Jes Royston. What we are diving in today, because if I have another coach say to me, what actually works? How do I build my business? Do I need to build on this platform? Do I need to have a website, a sales page, a challenge? There are so many ways to build your business, but what we're going to talk about today are the four essentials. And if you are a new coach, if you have been in the game for a while, but you're massively struggling because you've built the most beautiful Instagram feed and you've done all the things that are marketing strategies that work, but you're still like, hey, I'm not getting hired. Or if you're confused about your niche and you have re-niched, rebranded, remessaged, 10,000 times, this is for you. So Jess, without further ado, homie, tell our listeners just a little about you.
Yes. Hey guys. So number one, like in my bio is Rachel's homie. So that's like always first on everything. After that, I'm a holistic health coach, like many of you are. I graduated IIN in, oh my gosh, Rachel, when did you graduate? 2011, I think. So I've been health coaching on and off for a couple years, took off some time to raise my two babies. I have two sons that are 9 and 6. And I currently am, I work at a functional medicine practice, brick and mortar, but I am, because the whole world is going online, taking things online in my practice too. So love what I'm doing. Love it. Took me a long time to get to where I am now, but I'm super pumped to share what's helped me grow my practice so that you guys can do so as well.
So let's get into the nitty gritty, guys, because Jess is no different from you. I built my wellness business with 2 kids who were not going to preschool yet.
Nope.
So we both understand that time issue. So whether you're an autoimmune or you have kids, all that time is the biggest problem when you're building your wellness business, or you want to leave a corporate job, or, whatever that wish is. So we're going to dive into the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 essentials, and where most of us get hiccuped or confused. All right, Jess, hit us with number 1.
So number 1.
What if you could go back in time and be like, damn, I wish I would have known that.
So I wish I would have had a clear website that showed people, and Rach helped me with this, showed people what I offered, who I was serving. And again, some of this takes some background work, which we're going to dive into, but the people, wherever you are driving your traffic, and like Rach said, you can have the perfect, I've seen so many coaches have the perfect Instagram feed, and then I go to find more about them, and there is poof into the air. There is nowhere for, if I wanted to hire them from something, where to go. So having a really clean, organized, simple, you guys can go on my website. My website is not pages and pages and pages stuff. It's simple. We broke it down simply so that as soon as someone leaves any type of social media or Pinterest or anything,
or Linktree. And guys, let me just give you like a quick breakdown, because people ask me this all the time. Do you need to have a perfect website in the beginning? The answer is no. I didn't do that. I would say I've seen a lot of people who do that and make a really big mistake because they're not clear on their niche. They're not clear on what their ideal client actually wants versus the business that we in our mind want to create. So go on to free platforms. Wix is a great one. Wix. Squarespace is a great one. And I would say my pro tip is start that site now. Use that as a playground for creating the visual experience, for creating the copy, for playing around with your About Me page. So let's recap. Home page, About Me, Work with Me. Some people have praise, testimonials, blog, contact me. Some people are like Jes Royston and myself that attract a lot of A-type busy peeps. And so we did have a shop page for do it yourself, also known as DIY, for that person that may not want to spend the money yet with you, or maybe they're not ready, or they've got their own story and framework around money and commitment. There's a whole bunch of objections that we all deal with, no matter what you charge or how your packages are. That's what we call also a down sell opportunity. So if you're a brand new coach or you've been around for a long time and you're like, what is this word? Upsell, downsell. A downsell is a lower cost option that mirrors your more intensive, higher cost options. So it allows a coach to come in with what we call those lower cost offers as we're building trust and also our coaching confidence and letting go of imposter syndrome and the fears of, is this person going to hire me?
Yeah.
So do you want to add anything, especially because you're past designer, like any just pro tips that you wish you would have known about your work with your website?
Yeah, for sure. I think what Rach just said about the downsell, I wasn't doing that for a while. I was really doing a lot of one-on-ones, and I kind of just thought like, well, I want to work with people. People should want to work with me, and they should want to come into an office, and they should want to dive into all their health issues right away. And what I figured is I think I priced it at $17. It was a 5-day gut challenge. And that's how I got a ton of my one-on-one clients, because who is not going to go on a website and design? And guys, you don't have to be a graphic designer to do this. There's templates on Etsy. There's templates on the best. Listen, I went to like design school in New York City, and I use Canva now because it's just easier and you just drag and drop. So I did a $17 downsell, and people gained trust. They said, this girl knows what she's talking about. I can resonate with what she's saying. I see pictures of her kids in this thing. Like, I understand how I could speak to her one-on-one about my health issues, and that's how I got them in. So I love that idea of having different options, because even though your end goal as a coach is going to be the same, you need different entryways for people to get in, because everyone's starting in a different spot.
So before we move on to our second pro tip, for those of you who also hear this word tripwire, this is a word that often is talked about or is often said with marketing masters like Ryan Deiss, DEISS. Many of you hear this with ClickFunnels, the One Funnel Way Challenge. You don't have to use any one specific platform to create a lower cost opportunity, because I just want to recap a big word that Jess shared: trust. So what you're doing is you're giving them at a lower cost option this no-brainer, which is why we call it a tripwire. We're like, oh my God, because you trip into that opportunity. Yeah. And then you can talk to people about these other ways to work with you. So just when you're building what I call your whole funnel business, which is different than just an individual funnel, think what needs to be on my website. What are lower cost opportunities? Don't overthink the marketing part, because that's where we lose our soul, our heart, our passion, and our purpose. Don't get stuck there, which brings us to the next, which is know your darn niche. Jess, can you tell people how you arrived at your niche?
Yes, absolutely. So like Rach said, since, being at a nutrition school for 10 years, I probably re-niched a couple times, and it was because I was going through different phases of my life too. So once I had my kids and I started talking to moms on the playground, moms in the grocery store, I was seeing people struggle trying to figure out what foods down the aisle while their kids are crying. My heart just said, I want to help these young moms. Like, this is where I want to go. And I'm not positive how I'm going to get there, but this is who I want to serve. And through that, Rach and I worked together, and we kind of came up with these pillars or different things that I felt like I could give to them, things that I had lived through. So like green living was a really, really big one for me. I wanted toxic products out of moms' homes that they just weren't aware of. I studied gut health in like some advanced courses, so I really wanted to bring that into it. And just learning how to eat real food again. I feel like that was huge. Like, sometimes moms get so sidetracked, and I just wanted to bring things down, like back to basics for them. So I kind of reflected myself and said, well, what problems did I have, like through my pregnancies, before my pregnancy, and just raising kids in this world? Like, what did I need help with. And that kind of mirrored who I wanted to help. And that's how I niched down for the final time, I will say.
Guys, I want to just point out something that Jess just shared, and this is where I think coaches get really confused, is Jess shared everything that we would use in coaching words, all the things that we want. And the great thing is that she does get specific in the content and her programs. So Jess, I'm going to ask you a question because this will help everyone.
Do it.
But bring it on, sister. What at the end of the day, because I always say this to you, Jess, I know you created this, but what do people come to you for? Of course, they want the immune stuff for their kids. They want to know how to do the swaps. They want all these things, and you are the inspiration. But what do moms come to you for?
They come to me because they need an easy place to start. They need like someone to say, how did you do it? And how did you implement it? And how is your family better for it? I think that's a lot of the questions that I get over and over is like, there's so much muck out there and there's so much, not even just misinformation, but just people have these like, well, this is my way of doing it and that's it. And they need to talk to me about what their way is, like how to get healthy their way, not just my way.
And let me say, second question, when you purchased the detox, why did you feel that would be a starting point?
Absolutely. Because it aligned with the way that I was living. It was everything that I was doing. It was clean eating. It was sharing elixirs with people. It was like teaching them like, why do I add apple cider vinegar and lemon to certain things? Why do I use certain essential oils when my kids are sick? Why am I doing all these things that are against mainstream? Like, why is this crazy crunchy girl doing this, and how can I do it? So I took it down.
I'm not this crazy crunchy girl, but I admire. And guys, this is the big part about niche that I know gets really confusing.
Yeah,
is you might be saying, but Jess, that's not like a really clear niche. What she's saying is, I want to work with these really busy, crazy moms like myself who are sickened by the fact that there's not information out there. Because part of Jess's story was there were gut issues, there were skin issues, and her big why has always been to change the game for her children and to educate. I get chills because it's in the why that we create our offers. It's not the way that we're most taught, which is define your niche, then do your offers. No, nail down your why. The best, Simon Sinek, Donald Miller, people who talk about brand story. Yeah. That trumps niche. Yeah. So Jess was really clear. And the great thing is I've interviewed other coaches who have evolved in their story, and it comes out more in a succinct health coach verbiage. Yeah. At the end of the day, tell me the detox was step one. Yeah. And then you started to see as that mom, because you have like 3 different avatars, ideal client for your mamas. Mm-hmm. What then were they struggling with? It was immune gut. Yeah. And so how did you then layer in this second step for that mama?
Yeah. So I think really sharing things that I knew that they were struggling with. So I started a blog called Green Mama Tribe. I mean, I called it like, I was like, if you guys want to learn how to do green living and eat clean, like come join my tribe. And I just shared what I was going through. There was days where I learned something new and I wanted to share that with them. And there was stuff that I had learned, 10 years prior ago in nutrition school that I was just kind of redoing in my life, like things that I had been remembering. So that's how I started getting people to become familiar with me, because I was taking them on the journey with me. And then as I launched other programs and did other things, and even with my one-on-one clients in the office, they would say like, she's someone that I can talk to. So I understand why it's important to work with her. Or if you wanted to start just on a detox, like she's the girl to do it because I see her, she shows up and she does it herself. So that's the kind of the next step of how I helped bring these moms to a place where they didn't feel overwhelmed. I always promise in all my marketing that I will not overwhelm, because I'm overwhelmed and I don't want them to be any more overwhelmed. Like we need to keep each other, level. So,
and guys, just to recap, and something that I know I experienced in Rachel's Wellness with my business is I came in, I knew my niche was crazy busy moms. Yeah. So very similar to Jess, my why was that I birthed my children, and that I really thought that the heavy metals, the fungus, the parasites, I really believed that my gut was in a good shape. And then I birthed my kids and saw that there was so much dysbiosis, so much early intervention issues, sleep issues, rashes, focus later. And I realized, wow, if it's this hard to find information, and what you're hearing from Jess is it goes beyond even the niche. The niche is to help us get clear so we don't confuse our clients. Yeah. But if you look at jesroyston.com, and you best follow her on Instagram, you will see that there's a program for sugar, for weight. There's different workshops that are problem solvers.
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking about your niche, don't get stuck just in this needing for a perfected pitch or niche, or you hear me always say, what is your niche and what are these teaching pillars? What are the core elements of your business that if a person landed on a social media platform or your website, that there was a cohesive message throughout so that that person knew what kind of information to expect. Yeah. And you hear from Jess, she started with the detox because that was a program that helped her to have content. So she wasn't wasting that time and spending more time connecting, which we're going to talk about next. Yeah. But as she evolved, she was like, wow, it's gut. It is immune. It's food allergies. It's green living. They can be all part of the topics. Yeah. The topics that you're talking about. So you most importantly see where you get the most engagement. Yeah. Many of us come into this business and create a business based on our problems, which is great. You're basing it on the stories, your vision for the world. That's brand story. Yeah. That's brand message. When you get clear and you niche down and you define your free opportunities, challenges, webinars, workshops, lives, social media, your website, your offers, that is based on where you saw the most engagement. Because, and I will say this in conclusion to make it really crystal clear, many of you are like us. We've gone through a lot of different things and we're like, I'm going to teach gut, but we're not attracting the person that has massive gut issues like us. We're attracting a person that may have a complete addiction to sugar. Yeah. Because that's her biggest, she's a stress eater. Doesn't mean you niche as a stress eater. Her niche is like me, crazy psycho moms, which we take on too much. We're busy, we're doers. And so understanding the personality of your ideal client, understanding that she may have all these issues, but like her weight gain is really messing her up emotionally, doesn't mean you're a weight loss coach. Doesn't mean you niche weight loss. It's an aspect of your pillars because you get out there and you actually test it and you don't sit in perfection behind a computer.
Absolutely.
So now we move on to the third. Talk about showing up, because I think this is one of the most difficult things as the digital market has changed. Yeah. You and I met. And also there are so many different strategies. Should I be on YouTube, Pinterest? Should I IG?
It's overwhelming.
Periscope. Should I snapping? Should I be snapping, TikToking? Just break down what you did. OG style, old school.
Seriously. I love the OG because sometimes my younger clients will come in here and they're like, your smoothie videos on Instagram are awesome, but like, you got to bring them over to TikTok. And I'm like, not yet. I'm still working on this thing. Just stop. But yeah, so for me, I feel like, my people across my social media platforms, and I really focus most heavily on Instagram and then Pinterest to lead them. Again, Pinterest, simple recipes for moms, simple natural remedies. When your kid is throwing up, what do you give them? If you can't go to the store, what's in your natural medicine cabinet? Simple stuff like that. Pinterest, they draw them to my Instagram and my website. So for me, video was something that I really had avoided for a long time. Like Rachel said, I'm a designer. So like sitting behind the screen and making things pretty was cool, but I knew that I needed to let them into my life. And so that I wasn't just photographing a perfect smoothie bowl. I was showing them like the mess in the kitchen when I made it before, you know, the behind the scenes. So I started doing IGTV and it has helped so much. And I'm eventually going to bring that all onto YouTube as well. And I got so many more comments and so much more engagement because the moms were like, yes, your Vitamix spilled on the counter too. I'm so happy. And then
your child is interrupting you and saying, ew, this is disgusting. Like all the real life.
All the real stuff. So like, I think I did have a video actually where Jake was like, I don't eat kale. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, you eat kale every day, dude.
Like,
you just don't see me put it in.
Just say that on our video.
I'm like, you do. Here's how you sneak it in. So I think when you let people behind that veil, because guys, we all know that social media puts up this like perfect barrier. And that's what we always talk about, you know, like comparing yourselves and all that. There's a mess behind everyone. I think as coaches, it's our responsibility to encourage people to step into your mess. I remember one of the biggest lessons that I learned in nutrition school was, I think they called it burn the rice. And it was like, if you have never cooked grains before and you've never stepped in the kitchen, burn the rice before you learn how to make something healthy for yourself. So when you let them in that behind the scenes, they're like, dude, this mom is real. And she's running from this to this to this, and she's still getting her kids to eat healthy. Like I can do this.
Right. Yeah. I swear you're going to have to go back into this because I was like, did she just make her new brand message when you were like, with the messy? You're like, get in the mess. I'm like, because guys, people always say to me, and this is why I had Jess come on, and there will be many more of these. They're like, I'm doing everything right. Yeah. And right. You are. And I just want to say this, like you're doing the course right. You're doing the application right. You're doing everything right. That's 1/4 of the business. And that is where a lot of coaches are getting really stuck. And then that stuck leads to frustration, spending more money, looking for a different magical cure, just like we all did in our health, but not realizing that the magic and the conversion and the connection happens when somebody goes, oh my God, her Vitamix just spilled. Oh my God, her kid doesn't eat kale. Wow, she just told me how to sneak it in. Yeah. And that was, people knew me as the coach. I was like, I'm going to help you sneak in everything. No, don't use chlorophyll. Here's chlorophyll drops. It's called Chlorofresh. Oh no, don't think your kid's going to munch on seaweed. Here's mango sea sprinkles. Yeah. And people knew I was that girl. The majority of my young mom coaching was, I called it, you want me to come over for $150 to swap it?
Yeah.
I said, do you need a swap it session? And they were like, well, my kid's not going to eat, cassava chips. I'm like, no problem, homie. Let me come over and we'll talk about a 3-ingredient potato chip versus Pringles.
Exactly.
And I'll talk with the kids and educate. And that, very similar to you, became like a huge part of my business. And that was not anywhere in a course or a roadmap. No. So guys, please, number 3 is video marketing. Yeah. Get uncomfortable. If you feel like you stink at video, guess what? Just, it's in the doing that you're going to unstink and fudge the fear. So commit to doing videos, do them on the content that you have. If you don't have content, that's why we have like PowerPoints and stuff that you can literally work off the content. And that's exactly what your video that we did many years ago. Yeah, many years ago, you were like, I don't understand why this is a problem. Coaches, I literally pulled content out from a program, and that was my live. That was my post.
Yeah. And I do that even now. Actually, Rach called me. You want to talk about video mess ups, to give you guys some, like, I made something, I was cutting watermelon and explaining the benefits, and Rach called in the middle. You guys can watch it on my IGTV, and you see my finger towards the thing, like, I'll call her back. And then I continue talking about it. Did I re-record that? No. Like, the people needed to see that I am a real mom cutting watermelon with my friends calling on a Saturday morning. Like, that's just real life. So, but I pulled all that information from the content that I had. I pulled so many videos that I've done from that spring detox, and it's like a paragraph of content, and you can go and you can share 3 minutes on your Instagram of how this affected you guys, and something that you made based on learning about these foods. And that's it. You have something
yourself. I think that's the biggest thing is, especially in this digital market, when we go into what I call just A buyer conscious state
Totally.
is usually when things that are happening in the world, I know this from building my business in the recession in 2010, people are hesitant to buy. It's not that you aren't doing an amazing job, is that talk is cheap. So if you're social media posting and you continue and you're saying to yourself, why aren't they converting? I've spent all this time, creating this challenge, pre-recording the videos. I put this in Teachable. This is in my Think Effect. Step back step out of the marketing shoes and step back into the soul and the empathy of your ideal client and say, in a world of information, would I love if somebody just showed me this? I just want to desperately connect. I want to feel like people aren't fake out there. I want to know that there's another psycho mom like myself. That's what people would always say. You're so relatable, Rach. I would share that I had ulcerative colitis, binging on potato chips. Yeah. And I'll share that because my ideal client was doing the same. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't potato chips, it probably was something else because we, fix the vacant hole with whatever is that drug of choice per se, whether it's food or exercise or yoga and I mean extreme. We do a lot of things in extreme, and I feel that our big why in our business is to help people know they're not alone, to know that it doesn't have to be so hard. So we won't go into a long ta-da about that, but get good with videos. And if you don't have content or you're really struggling financially, go to rachelafeldman.com/free tools. I have a free 5-day habit challenge.
Awesome.
Free PowerPoint, like a 4-day little weight loss. Use it. Build your confidence. There's no perfect time. Okay. Now the essential, the number 4. I would say that one of the biggest is how to get over the fear and just doing it. And if you can even share when you were struggling, like every coach.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you and you were like, people don't know, how I've gotten like out of my perfection and fear. If you can just touch on that so we can even end it with, guys, I felt this way, but I did this anyway. Yeah. I think that's a really essential part that nobody talks about.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I first met Rachel, I was struggling really to figure out who I wanted to help, while helping myself. So I knew what I was struggling with, but I really wasn't talking about the pain points. I wasn't speaking about like the realness. I was just kind of like, here's a kale smoothie and it'll make you feel better and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want to go online. I didn't want to do video. I didn't want to post anything because I felt like, well, who's out there listening to me? Like who's going to listen to a mom of 2 kids? I hadn't coached in a while. We had just moved to Florida, like all these doubts that crept in with me. But then I said, you know what? There are people out there that need me because I need people that I'm connecting to on social media. So I just started showing up and I started this blog. I put it out there. Didn't have a ton of people following it at first, but little by little, people started saying, you know what, I really never understood what a high glycemic fruit was. And thank you so much, because now I understand why I was putting on weight when I really didn't want to. And all I had to do was do a simple switch. Like that was it. And I said, okay, I helped one person figure that out. Thank you for helping me sneak food into my kids. My child has, a host of gut issues. Thank you for talking about how your 7-year-old wasn't able to poop in school. Like, thank you for sharing that. My 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old is still doing that. Thank you for recommending this kind of fiber, this kind of probiotic, and what you did to help. Like those small steps kept me going. So I kept showing up and I kept saying, if I needed this and I figured it out, I need to share it with someone else. And through that process, when I launched the Spring Detox, I already had people waiting saying, I need to do what she's doing because I've seen the small steps she's done. Now I'm ready to take 14 days and change my health and change my family's health. So it really did not happen overnight for sure. But the more of myself that I shared, I feel like the more people came to me, because it wasn't just like the highlight reel. It was like the behind the scenes. And like when I spoke about my son's digestive issues, it was like, cool. So a health coach that graduated and did everything right during her pregnancy and everything, like Rach said, still we have health issues. It's not like anything to be embarrassed about. Like, it's our bodies are, they're human, they break down. But if we can give people these simple solutions, I think that's when they have that know, like, and trust factor. And once I got that, launching new programs and doing freebies and all that was much easier because they trusted me. They saw that I was going through it too.
Guys, I don't know if I could have said it any more perfect, and that's why Jess is my homie.
Number one bio homie.
Because we both have gone through that, and I know that every coach goes through that, where we're like, but what is this person going to think if I share this? I know going through just a lot of stress triggers my autoimmune stuff, triggers it bad. And I was sharing with a coach the other day. I said, oh yeah, man, my hormones were a hot mess. My thyroid crashed. I'm even, working on that look that I get on my thyroid. I said, Strep came back and was like, hey sister, we haven't been here for a while. Want to play? And my adrenaline and I was running on fumes. And she said, oh my God, I thought with everything that that everything's perfect. And I said, I don't think we're ever perfect. Mm-hmm. And I think that is one of the gifts as coaches we get to give people, is that, man, I wish everything was just fixed with one probiotic, one prebiotic, one protocol, one vitamin. But that's not how it happens in this world. And that's why it is so essential for us to share with people, because I, like Jess, thought of all the times that I was struggling, stressed, Googling, would leave a diagnosis, feel overwhelmed, cry, would be scared for my kids, all the stories that I would play out, like, please don't let them get the things that have been in my family, all that stuff, all of our fears. Guess what? We are not alone. We make ourselves think we're alone because we don't hear enough of people actually saying what happens in their life. And it doesn't mean you have to share everything on social media. It's not even social media. It's digital marketing so that you attract your ideal client. As an action step, I would say, I know we talked about a bunch of different things. As I said, if you're even rebranding, maybe you are coming back into this, you're a successful coach, you want to play around and rebrand. Yeah, that's when you go to Wix or Squarespace. So you actually have a template and a vision board instead of just working with a designer and working on a brand board and a hidden Pinterest board. So start to really play with that. Play with imagery, because a picture tells 1,000 words. Play around with your keywords that are on your website that your ideal client is attracted to. Just, it would be, leaky gut, food allergies for mom, food allergies for kids, environmental allergies. Yeah. Really play out all those words. Second is start really building on search engine optimization platforms that are married to Google. And that is YouTube and Pinterest. Yep. Know your ideal client. Jess and I are visual peeps. I would say the majority of the world is. Most people Google, and they either find a video on YouTube or they are intentionally searching. That's the key word, intentionally searching. And you want to be an internationally known coach. And you also want to branch out a little further than just your backyard. If you are in, a small community. Last thing is something a lot of coaches don't do is drop the perfection, be willing to get messy, dirty, and step into the mindset that you were meant to do this and born. So really work on that mindset stuff of letting go of perfection. I always ask my higher ups, replace fear with faith. Faith that I was meant to go through this, faith that I had a really crappy journey, the ins and outs to be able to be of service. And the last is to just be willing to take massive action. So the massive action means get out of the overthinking, get into doing. As I said, there's a 5-day healthy habit challenge we have for free. There's a PowerPoint. There's a freebie. There is no reason that you should not be committing to 3 either lives or pre-recorded videos, lives that you can pull down with the feature. If you don't know how to do it, Google it. go to YouTube.
You will get a YouTube or a Pinterest post that tells you how to do it.
There is a plethora of information. Hence, you are actually doing exactly what your ideal client does. Yeah. You're investigating and searching. So it will show you how to download a Facebook video. You're going to put that on YouTube. You're going to put that on IGTV, and you're going to start figuring out where your ideal client is hanging instead of doing what? An assumption, which is marketing. So with that being said, guys, if you have any questions, make sure to reach out to us. Jess, as always, thank you, homie.
Thank you. Anytime. I love it. You guys can do it.
Jess has an amazing Instagram. And I always say, don't ever steal someone's content or their verbiage. It happens though. But go and just watch how she shares her life. Watch her stories. Doesn't mean you need to move to Instagram. That's where Jess finds that she gets the best conversion.
Exactly.
You may be pitching to people, which will be pitching to different vendors, JV partnerships, especially in the time where we are right now have a little pause on brick and mortar.
Yeah, so true.
It's a great time either way, where those brick and mortars, they're still functioning. They've moved into the e-learning. Just an example today, she is in an office, but she is doing, Zoom with her clients. Yeah. It's all good. Take a deep breath. There is help. Just start asking the specific questions about what we call the foundation. Yes. That's Tony Robbins. Yeah. Master the foundation so that it becomes habit. If you want to jump to chapter 12, I just encourage you to have a really good team, an online business manager, and a virtual assistant that truly understands digital marketing, which can be hard to find. Yeah. So remember, keep it basic, keep it simple. And with that being said, we will peace out. Bye, guys.